Hey guys, what is going on? This is the Club of the Man 1993 coming at you. Happy Saturday afternoon for those of you who are on the Eastern time zone. Of course, tomorrow we lose an hour's sleep. So yeah, I'm about to bring to you guys a video that, is kind of late this year. I've been wanting to get this video out there for a while. I've been putting this one off for quite some time though, because there was a ton of free agents still available out in the market that I felt that could be touch my screen here a little bit, but that could be impacting on different teams for this year for Major League Baseball, like JD Martinez, Mike Moustakas, um, uh, Yu Darvish. There's still guys like Jake Arrieta, Carlos Gonzalez, Jason Worth, Andre Ethier, a few other guys who are still free agents that are still available, and some of them have been rumored to maybe just going to sit out until after the draft because of teams that feel that they still may need them or not long term, depending on who they get in the draft as well. So that's why I've been putting this video off for a while. But yeah, so this is my first Major League Baseball predictions video for 2018, as we're like about halfway through spring training now, as the season starts on. I didn't realize this, but March 29th. Well, for Pirates at least, it starts March 29th. Other than that, though, yeah, so this is a little bit late. Again, I apologize, but as I've mentioned in previous videos before, I'll visit my channel that last year for 2017. I did my 4 usual videos I usually do for my baseball predictions: preseason, midseason, end of the regular season, and end of the postseason. For those wrap up videos. But I really want to do more of these, more baseball predictions and videos on what's going on around Major League Baseball. I do some with big trades or big signings and whatnot, other big news involving baseball. Fortunately, I've done 3 videos about some tragic deaths of baseball players in the past couple of years, like Jose Fernandez, Yordano Ventura, and Andy Marte. I almost said Andres Marte, Andy Marte, and then recently Roy Halladay, also last November. So like last year, again, with me being from Pittsburgh and me following the Pirates very closely, as I mentioned last year, with just the Pirates' continued downfall after they finally got somewhere after how many years, I feel like I really let that affect my baseball experience. And because of that, I lost my passion for watching baseball. I didn't really watch a lot last year, in the second half of the season, because I kind of gave up on it. I watched some of the postseason, but not as much as I did in 2016. So this year, yes, I'm still going to be watching, the Pirates, not as much as I can. But I do want to make sure I watch other baseball games to get pay attention, because I want to get that passion back. I guess, most of my content anymore is definitely wrestling content with some video game content, some baseball content as well. But I want to bring out this passion, because I've been a baseball fan a lot longer than I've been a wrestling fan. And I feel like I've really lost that passion over the past couple of years. And this year, I just want to get that back. I want to be able to get right back into it again, just enjoy it the way I used to, and just not let the Pirates on a big downfall continue on a big downfall. As I don't have a good prediction for them this year. But I don't want them to define my whole baseball experience. I still want to be able to just enjoy baseball for what it was. As I've said plenty of times, I fell in love with the Pirates way before I fell in love with baseball, before I fell in love with the Pirates. So I'm hoping to accomplish that this year in 2018. So let's get rolling along here and start off with these predictions as usual. So first, I start with my predictions for each of the standings, and then my awards, and then the postseason early on in preseason. So let's get right to it. So let's start with the American League East, which I think is going to be running away with 2 teams running away with it this year. A close competition. Y'all know already the big rivalry between the Yankees and Red Sox we've been seeing for years and years and years. And of course, last year the Yankees, well, a couple of years ago, I didn't think the Yankees were going to be that good. I think it was 2016. I didn't think the Yankees were going to be that good. And they actually were sellers at the around the trade deadline. So I'm like, geez, what's up, Rutik Patel? If I'm pronouncing your name correctly, I apologize if I'm not. Thank you for joining me live. But yeah, the Yankees a couple years ago, we're definitely going through a rebuilding stage. They were like most of the guys from their past generation, like Jeter, A-Rod, Mariano Rivera, Jorge Posada, Andy Pettit, Well, Robbie Cano left for Seattle. Most of those guys were like, finding their way out. And in 2016, like, they seem like they were starting to, rely more on younger talent to get better. Well, knowing the Yankees, of course, they always had the money to still make some big purchases in the offseason and whatnot. And this offseason, they signed they traded for Giancarlo Stanton from the Marlins, and they gave away like just Starling Castro and a couple minor leaguers, I believe, for him. So with him and having Aaron Judge in their outfield, they have Didi Gregorius, who has really took over well at shortstop, replacing Jeter, and then third base. I can't remember if Headley's still there or not. I can't remember, but either way, the Yankees still have a great core. Oh, of course, we have Gary Sanchez also, a great core of them. Their starting pitching, their pitching staff is still doing well. Last year, they made a good run in the postseason. They almost got to the World Series. And I think with the addition of Stanton, though, if he can have another season like he did last year with the power numbers, I was just so glad to see him finally break the 50 homer mark, because that was like long coming for Stanton. I'm hoping he does the same thing here in New York, maybe come close to 60 home runs as well. So we can hope to have it with him and Judge in that outfield. It's going to be pretty darn dangerous. So I can say about 100. If they can both have seasons like they did last year, it'd be like 100 home runs combined just from those two. So I think that definitely the Yankees will at least edge out the Red Sox a little bit in this division. But I definitely think the Red Sox also have another strong year and definitely being a big wild card team as well with a strong record as well. The Blue Jays, last year the Blue Jays were hampered with a few injuries. Aaron Sanchez had a couple blister injuries as well, and a lot of talent just seemed to get old. And also, they didn't have Josh Donaldson for most of the first half of last season, and instead the Blue Jays kept him, and I think he does have one more year left in his contract. I think he's going to be a free agent after next season, and but I think the Blue Jays are at least going to bounce back a little bit, because they definitely had an off year. But I think they're going to finish in third place. The Rays kind of had a little bit like a clean out as well. They traded away Steven Souza Jr., Corey Dickerson. Well, they signed Carlos Gomez. And they also traded away their franchise star, Evan Longoria, to the Giants. It was the only franchise star the Giants got this offseason. But I think the Rays still have at least some depth in their pitching. I think they'll at least place fourth. The Orioles, who although they still have some great offensive players, and Manny Machado, Jonathan Scope, Adam Jones, Chris Davis, even though he could be pretty inconsistent at times, and a few others, I think their pitching staff is not as strong as the Rays. So I think that the Orioles will place fifth in the division. But the Yankees winning the division, probably breaking 100 wins. Red Sox in like a 95-win season, going to play second, and then the Blue Jays, Rays, and Orioles right behind them as well. Man, I forgot the Pirate game's on TV today. I'll have to watch that after I finish this. So that's my predictions for the American League East. So now let's get to the American League Central. Kind of similar to the American League East. That's going to be just two teams having good years. Everybody else probably going to be on the losing side. We have the starting off placing first, of course, is the Indians. The Indians, just are pretty much the same team as last year. They had a really great year, had that 22-win season. Their pitching staff is definitely one of the best in the league. I've always seen the potential in the Indians. They always they were that team that always had the well, actually, I'm sorry. The only person they lost, I believe, was Carlos Santana. He signed with the Phillies. But I do believe the Indians are still a strong enough team that they'll be able to, put on another good season without Santana. But their pitching staff is all there, and Corey Kluber, Carlos Carrasco, a couple others as well. This all around their pitching is just great. They have great offense, and Jose Ramirez, who I think could be a contender for an MVP again this year. And we also have Francisco Lindor. I forgot their outfielder's name. Crap, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Oh, Edwin Encarnacion, Double E. I love Double E. Jan Gomes is a catcher, but all around they still have a great young team. I still think they'll make a great strong push and probably at least get to the American League Championship Series this year. So I definitely have them placing first. The Twins last year was the surprise team in baseball. I think they could come away with another wild card spot for the wild card this year. I didn't expect. I mean, the year before in 2016, they were horrible. They were like 57 and whatnot, and like 105 or something like that. They had like a really terrible record. But last year, I think their younger. I saw the potential in them though towards the end of 2016 with their younger talent coming up. You know, Max Kepler, Byron Buxton, Brian Dozier is still around. You know, they still have Joe Mauer, who's, you know, he's not as good as he used to be, but, you know, he's still, you know, a great asset to their team. And their pitching staff has still, you know, proved they can be really strong as well with their ace and Irvin Santana and several others. So I think that the Twins will be about the same as they were last year also. I think this division will be very similar to how it was last year for the most part. So I definitely can see the Twins placing second and being the second wild card team for the American League. In third place in the American League Central, I have the White Sox. The White Sox definitely, you know, have been down in the dumps for a few years. Well, actually down in dumps, but they haven't really been one of the best teams. A couple years ago, well, 2 years ago, I think it was, they actually got off to a really strong start. People were starting to predict that, you know, a Cubs White Sox World Series, but then they fell off. They are still they're still refraining away from some of their older talent, but they have their newer talent coming up as well still. And I think Rick Renteria is a great manager. I mean, he was definitely getting the Cubs back on track. The 1 year he was their manager, year before Joe Madden took over, but, you know, the Cubs wanted, you know, an even better manager than him. So that's why they grabbed Joe Madden. So I think Rick Renteria definitely, you know, is steering this club in the right direction. So I think, you know, with him there as well, I think the White Sox can at least have like a almost winning season, but having a strong third place finish, I feel, definitely, you know, getting to the top. The one team is definitely going to go down a little bit this year. I mean, not as bad as I thought at first, because they did re-sign Mike Moustakas, or as we like to call him, Moose, to a 1-year deal, but that's not going to quite be enough because they still had other key players who didn't return, like you know, Lorenzo Cain and Eric Hosmer, who surprisingly went off to the Padres. I was surprised to see that one. But yeah, so the Royals, despite that, you know, they still have some good pitching, but not as good as it used to be. You know, with the loss of Yordano Ventura to his car accident a few years ago, last year, that definitely, you know, took away a big arm for them. I think personally, though, that the Royals are going to place fourth in their division this year, in my opinion. And then fifth place is going to be the Tigers. I just think, you know, last year, of course, you know, the Tigers are a team that everybody's getting old. I mean, they don't have too many young talent. They have some upcoming young talent, but they're not that experienced yet. I mean, they still have Miguel Cabrera, but their pitching staff, I think, is their biggest weakness right now, because they just don't really have too many strong. They have Michael Fulmer, but they traded away Justin Verlander last year, which he wasn't, you know, doing as well, but he definitely, you know, got back on control again with the Astros, I feel. So, but I still feel that the Tigers are going to kind of be that team like in the basement this year for the American League Central. So my predictions again: the Indians placing first, Twins placing second, win the wild card, White Sox placing third, Royals fourth, and the Tigers fifth. For the American League West, we got and the Astros, of course, repeating as division winners, and I think right now I have all three division winners for each teams in the American League having over 100 wins. I think it is possible. The Astros, I mean, personally, you know, I'm trying to think, they didn't really lose anybody. Most of their talent is young. They're a team that the Pirates should have been, but the Astros, you know, spend their money at least, and, you know, they have a few quality veterans, like, you know, alongside also the, you know, help these guys build up as well. But, you know, from just the grounds. But just from the Astros' great pitching staff to their great young offense, they got Garrett Cole this offseason, also from the Pirates. I think that that the Astros are definitely, you know, still, you know, a great young team, and they're definitely a huge threat to you know, win the World Series again this year. So I had them placing first. It was tough because I have a close finish for second and third. You know, the Angels got Shohei Onte. If I pronounce, I've probably butchered his name anytime, but that Japanese pitcher who can also be a part-time hitter as well. Got him. I think, you know, it'll be a bolster. I mean, the Angels, you know, definitely have always had some of the talent to be a good team. They just, you know, Never seen to fully produce it, but I think the Mariners and Angels will be a close like second and third place, coming up a little bit short of the wild card as well. I mean, I think the Mariners, still have like their young talent. I mean, I know some of their veterans, like Nelson Cruz and Robinson Cano, is starting to get old, but they all still seem to have like a really strong pitching staff, and Felix Hernandez and a few others as well. James Paxton also is a great young lefty that I'm a huge fan of. But I do think, that they're not going to be quite good enough to make a wild card spot this year. I mean, their outfield is also still pretty young. They have to go back and re-sign Ichiro to bring him back to, put some depth there because of the injuries so far at the beginning of the year. But yeah, I think they're going to have a strong year, but not quite make the wild card. Same with the Angels. The Rangers, their young talent definitely impressed me last year with Joey Gallo, Nomar Mazero. They still have a few other, veterans and Adrian Beltre and a few others still on that team, and Elvis Andrews. But I think the Rangers, are definitely, with their pitching staff also is, a little bit in the rebuilding stage also. So I think they're going to place fourth, almost winning with a 500 record. But I think the Rangers are going to place fourth. Then the Athletics are going to place fifth again, but they're still heading in the right direction. Their young talent is blossoming and coming together. So some great players on that team though as well that wouldn't rule out definitely. But I think the Athletics will place fifth, but still going to have a strong year. So it's going to be a pretty tight division race. Well, with the Astros running away with it, and the Mariners, Angels, Rangers, and Athletics are going to have tight records like down there as well. So it's going to be a pretty tight division, not like the best division, but definitely a tight one. So that is my American League West. The Astros placing first, Mariners second, Angels third, Rangers fourth, and the Athletics will place fifth. Nobody else in the live chat. That's fine. Moving on now to the National League East. We're in the National League now. Placing first and probably going to be the best team in the National League this year. No doubt about it, the Nationals. This is a make it or break year for the Nationals because Bryce Harper, and I know a few others, but definitely Bryce Harper is apparently going to be a free agent after this season. And, of course, once he leaves, that's going to be a big part of their offense. I mean, they've been able to survive, though, without Bryce Harper because he's had a few injury stints last year. He was injured for a good amount of the second half of the season. But they proved that they can still win without Bryce Harper, so I'm not really too worried. They do have Victor Robles, one of the top outfield prospects, who is probably going to be, replacing him whenever Bryce Harper does leave, unless they decide to sign Harper to a long-term deal. Again, I'm not sure if they will do that or not, but Harper will probably go to the Yankees and get like a Giancarlo Stanton type deal next year. They'll probably need a new center fielder anyways. But they're great pitching style. Yeah, Gio Gonzalez is somebody else who's due to be a free agent. I remember there was like one other person. I can't remember another big name here. Remember who it was, but they still have Nationals all the offense. And Michael Taylor, Bryce Harper, Adam Eaton if he's healthy. Last year he was injured for most of the year. They have Trey Turner and Anthony Rendon and Ryan Zimmerman in the infield. I can't remember who else it was. Matt Wheeler's trying to play. Great pitching staff. They have everything. The problem is, though, is they never cease to do well, though, in the playoffs. They haven't gone past the divisional series. And I don't think they're going to get past it again this year. But I still think the Nationals are going to win the division. The rest of the division is going to be pretty similar to what it was last year, except the Mets, with their new manager, Mickey Callaway, also are definitely going to have a bounce back year. Last year, the Mets still have some. I mean, I've given the Mets crap past couple years. I do feel like they were a little bit of an overrated team whenever they got to the World Series in 2015. Because I never thought they always had a great offense, but they definitely do have some better offensive players in their lineup as well. Signed a few, and as well as some younger talent like Michael Conforto and whatnot. But I definitely think. With a healthier pitching staff, because last year their pitching staff wasn't too healthy, I think the Mets could make another run again and become a wild card team if their pitching staff healthier. They have Steven Matz. Matt Harvey's been waiting for that bounce back because he hasn't had since he had Tommy John surgery. He's been just all over the place ever since. Noah Syndergaard, the biggest one of all, though he was out most of the year due to a torn lat last year. So definitely he's going to be looking for it and hopefully having the big bounce back campaign. What's his name? Jacob deGrom also, and their bullpen also still strong as well. So the Mets are, they're going to have they have a better offense, but I think if their pitching staff stays healthy, I think they'll be able to, play second. But other than that, like everybody else in this division, probably not going to have a chance to win it or be a wild card team. I mean, the Braves, maybe they still have some type of like a veteran. They still have a good amount of veterans on the team, and also having some younger talent mixed in as well, but they're probably going to come up just a little bit short of winning a wild card team or whatnot. The Phillies, I still think the Phillies, have like the younger talent, and that they're going to be building up towards as well. And their pitching staff, I feel, is definitely their stronger strength right now, with some good offensive players. But I think they're still going to place fourth, but come up a little bit shy against the Braves to place third. So the Phillies place fourth. The Marlins, boy, they cleaned out that outfield big time, getting rid of Yelich, Stanton, and Ozuna, and they also got rid of D. Gordon. Also, they got Giancarlo Stanton to replace him at second, but that's not going to be enough. I mean, the pitching staff definitely was missing a big arm since we lost Jose Fernandez 2 years ago, which is still sad as heck to me. He probably could have been the starter in last year's All-Star game. But I think the Marlins are probably going to be the worst team in baseball this year. I think I had them predicted to be 57 and 105. So they're definitely placing last, starting back over for a rebuilding stage. So, that was my predictions for the National League East. The Nationals winning division, Mets being a wild card team, the Braves placing third, then the Phillies, then the Marlins placing last, and probably having the worst record in the league, in my honest opinion. So that's it for National League East. The National League Central has a little bit of a tight race for the top three teams. So the Cubs, they've lost a few couple players. They got Yu Darvish, who I think is still a good pitcher, but I feel like he doesn't quite always produce the best in like key situations, like in the playoffs. I feel like he doesn't quite do well in those situations. But I still think with his addition, the Cubs will still have another strong year again, kind of similar to what they did last year, like early 90 wins. So they're definitely, though, not as dangerous of a team as they were a few years ago. And I still somewhat feel it's because I really feel like for some reason the Cubs were a better team with Dexter Fowler in their lineup. I don't know what it was, but anytime he would not play, it seemed like that they weren't, it didn't seem like that they were really, as good of a team without him for some reason. I mean, Dexter Fowler is still a great player. He's not like, the worst player, or not the best one, but he's definitely a little bit more overrated, but I think his presence had some type of impact on that team, really. And I feel like they're still a good team. They were last year. Heck, they had a losing record by the All-Star break last year. Then they picked it up. They got high a little bit. They finished 93 wins, I think it was. They were probably going to finish around there. I still think that they're going to place first. Now, for second and third, these guys are winning the wild card, but it's going to be a close race. Last year, I thought the Milwaukee Brewers were going to be like a 100-loss team. I thought that was going to happen last year. But it didn't happen. Their pitching staff came around. Their young talent really blossomed out. And this offseason, I thought they did nothing but get better. They acquired Christian Yelich from the Marlins. They also signed Lorenzo Cain in their outfield. They have Manny Arcia and a few others. Eric Thames returning to the majors after being in Japan for a couple of years, had a strong year coming back. I mean, a little overrated at times because he only hit 30-some homers while throwing 60 RBIs, but batting 250 after getting off to a hot start. But he's still a great veteran presence on the team as well. Even though he's probably my least favorite players in the game, Ryan Braun. He's still around. I mean, the thing is, though, what are they going to do about the last spot in the outfield? Because they have Lorenzo Cain and Christian Yelich, and we still have Ryan Braun and Domingo Santana. Why are they? I've heard rumors that the reason why that they got another outfielder because they want to use Domingo Santana in a trade for a starter, which could happen eventually this year. But Domingo Santana definitely deserves more than being just a bench player. He had a strong campaign last year as well. So I don't know, maybe they're starting to look into maybe moving past Ryan Braun also because he's starting to get up there in age and he's definitely not as good as he used to be. Ryan Braun is definitely. I've never been a fan of Ryan Braun. I've never liked him, but I definitely still know that he was definitely been a huge part of that Brewers offense for quite a while. But either way, I still think the Brewers are definitely going to have a strong second place finish, just beating out the Cardinals. The Cardinals, although they got Ozuna, a fresh bat for them, and a few other young stars that are coming up, I still feel like a lot of their better starters, especially their pitching staff, a lot of them are still getting up there in age. Yadier Molina still brings a great veteran presence to the team as their long-term catcher that he's been. But I personally think that that the Cardinals are just gonna be like one or two games behind the Brewers in this division. And then for fourth and fifth, between the Reds and Pirates, it was tough to decide, but I still really think the Reds are personally the better team than the Pirates. They're, the biggest thing about the Reds is they have, well, besides Zach Cozart, they lost in the free agency, but I think the Reds still, the biggest problem they've had for the past 5 years, they didn't have a pitching staff. I think their pitching staff is getting better, that they'll be at least good enough to outlast the Pirates, because I think the Pirates, they got rid of Kutch. They got rid of Cole. I mean, they replaced Kutch with Corey Dickerson, which I did like that trade. I'll give them that. The Corey Dickerson trade, like that. But the problem is that there really isn't a big veteran presence, though, in that rotation. Well, somewhat in Ivan Nova, but the thing is, the Pirates have always shown to me these past couple of years when they've definitely gone on their downfall, that they have signs of being a good team. We look at the players on this team. We have Dickerson, Marte, which last year was a big problem. Marte also failed a drug test and was suspended, and Polanco. All three of those outfielders are great players. They're definitely all-star worthy. The problem is they're all not consistent players. Well, especially Gregory Polanco, and he was injured a lot last year also. And our infield right now, well, David Freese is kind of more of like, our utility guy in the infield. But I keep hearing the other day when I watched the game that Colin Moran is going to be apparently our starting third baseman. We got him from the Astros. I mean, I didn't see much of him when the I still need to see much from him to see how good a player he really is. But Jordy Mercer is not too bad of a shortstop. I mean, he's not the best, but he's not too bad either. I'll give him credit. He's even got or Josh Harrison. Even though he wants out based off of what happened with if he feels the team's not going to committed to winning anymore, he's still great asset second base. And first base, Josh Bell had a good rookie campaign. I think he can capitalize on it. Also, we have Francisco Cervelli and Elias Diaz behind to play. I mean, we had the potential with our pitching staff. The problem is we're just not consistent enough. And I feel like if we were more consistent, we could be a good team. But I still have us placing last one 68 and 94 in our division. Hey, what's up, Robbie? I know this is a baseball-related video, but when the Pittsburgh Penguins win, it is simply glorious. It'd be glorious also if the Pirates would win a little bit more also, but thank you for the comment, Robbie. But yeah, so my National League Central, I have the Cubs and Brewers and Cardinals in a tight race, just missing the wild card. The Reds placing fourth and the Pirates placing fifth. For the National League West, this is going to be last year, surprisingly, this was definitely the best division in Major League Baseball. And I do think it could be the same again this year as well. So I have the Dodgers placing first again with 98 and 64, despite the fact that last year they had a great year, but they also, went on a little bit of a losing streak. It wasn't as strong of a team after they went on like that terrible, 36 and 4 over like 40 games. They're still a great team, don't get me wrong, but I feel like, at times it felt a little bit overrated by something didn't come with the division win again. Now in second, you guys may think I'm nuts, but I have the Giants placing second and being the second wild card team. I think, the additions to their offense in Longoria and Kutch last year, Madison Bumgarner was out most of the injury, and the pitching staff was a little bit off this year. If the pitching staff can pick it back up again, they still have the offense and, around the diamond. We have Christian Arroyo or Pablo Sandoval third. We got no, I'm sorry. What am I thinking? We have Evan Longoria at third base now. We have Brandon Crawford and Joe Panic and Brandon Belt is a great infield. Buster Posey still putting on great shows behind the plate. We have Kutch now in the outfield. We have I forgot that they're outfielders now. Great, but still, I think the Giants could definitely have a big bounce back campaign. Mainly their pitching staff is healthy, and they got two more great offensive players in their lineup in Kutch and Longo as well. So I think they can play second be a wild card team. Third, just kind of short of the wild card, definitely the Rockies. I really like the Rockies, not because they're just playing Colorado, but they still have some great talent on that team as well. I think they can have a strong third place, just missing the wild card. Fourth, I have the Diamondbacks, just missing a winning record. I like the Diamondbacks. I thought they had a great year last year. Definitely their pitching staff and some of their offense, came out last year. But the biggest thing is, though, they don't have JD Martinez anymore in the second half like they did last year. So I think the Diamondbacks may not quite be as strong of a team this year. I think the Giants are going to be much better, and the Rockies still have, great offense, and their pitching staff came around last year also. I think the Diamondbacks will still be a tough luck fourth place finish. And in fifth place, despite the fact they had a good second half, their young talent is still blossoming up. I definitely see good potential for this team. I think the Padres will definitely have to be the unlucky last place finish in this division as well. But that's my prediction for the National League West. I have the Dodgers, Giants. Well, Dodgers win division, Giants win the wild card, Rockies placing third, Diamondbacks fourth, and Padres placing fifth. All right, so that's my predictions for the standings. Let's move on to the awards. For MVP, American League, I have Aaron Judge. I think it's going to be either Aaron Judge. It could go as far as having Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton being co-AL MVPs, but I think it's either going to be I have Aaron Judge as number one. I think second and third, well, you could have Jose Altuve or Carlos Correa up there also, but I think it'll be Aaron Judge, American League MVP, and then maybe either, Giancarlo or even Jose Ramirez making their case as well, and maybe also Jose Altuve again, American League MVP. For National League MVP, it was tough. I wasn't sure who to really think of to go with this, but I think somebody who even though I think I predicted his team not to make the playoffs and come up just short, I think someone who's more deserving of winning MVP award has been overlooked so many times is Nolan Arenado of the Rockies, because he's a great player. He puts up great power RBIs. He's a great defensive third baseman, and he puts on a great average also. I think it's time we definitely stop using the excuse for Rockies players because only because they play in Colorado. But I think Nolan Arenado is just one of the more overlooked players in the game. I think he definitely deserves to be an MVP someday. So I want to pick Nolan Arenado as my National League MVP for this year. For Cy Young, American League, it was tough. I could have gone with another Indians pitcher. I could have gone with Chris Sale again. I could have gone with maybe Luis Cervino from the Yankees also, but I got to go with Justin Verlander from the Astros. I think he's going to, him, Dallas Keuchel, and Garrett Cole, and a few others at the top of this rotation and the Astros have a really strong rotation. I think one of them get there, but I think Justin Verlander is going to definitely have a great bounce back year. He had a good run with the Astros last year and even into the postseason, but I think he's going to definitely get back on track to where he was with the Tigers earlier in his career, and I think he'll win the American League Cy Young Award. For a National League Cy Young Award, if healthy, there's no doubt about it, it's going to be Clayton Kershaw. But last year, Clayton Kershaw was on his way to becoming another Cy Young Award winner again, but unfortunately, he got hurt in the second half of the season, and it went to Max Scherzer from the Nationals. But Max Scherzer is definitely going to be another threat to win the Cy Young Award again this year, and Noah Syndergaard as well, because a bounce back year. For Rookie of the Year, this is an award I feel like I don't pay attention to enough anymore. Is how many prospects and upcomers. I had to do some research on this. But I have Rookie of the Years for Willie Adams, shortstop for the Rays, and then J.P. Crawford, shortstop for the Phillies. Those are my predictions for going to be the Rookies of the Year this year. For Comeback Player of the Year, I think it's going to be Aaron Sanchez of the Blue Jays. Last year, 2 years ago, he was on the year where he's becoming a starter, but very limited as a in his innings because of what I think of him that long term. But last year he dealt with a lot of finger blister injuries and whatnot. I think if he can stay healthy, he'll have a bounce back campaign. And for the for nationally, no doubt about it, another star pitcher, Noah Syndergaard. He's my pick for Comeback Player of the Year. Again, it was out for most of the year last year with a torn lat. I think he's going to be able to have a big bounce back year and be Comeback Player of the Year. For Managers of the Year, this is pretty easy also, both New York managers. Aaron Boone, his first year as manager for the Yankees. Yeah, he's going to have a strong year, get to the playoffs, maybe go even further than now, get to that shortly. I think he'll be the American League Manager of the Year. And then with the Mets having a big bounce back year with healthy pitching staff and whatnot, I think that give Mickey Callaway, new manager for the Mets, Manager of the Year as well for him. So those are my award predictions. Again, for MVPs, Aaron Judge and Nolan Arenado. Cy Young's Justin Verlander and Clayton Kershaw. Rookie of the Year, Willie Adams and J.P. Crawford. Comeback Player of the Year, Aaron Sanchez and Noah Syndergaard. And managers, Aaron Boone and Mickey Callaway. So let's just get to the playoffs, and then we'll be done here. So for the wild card games, the American League is definitely going to be the Red Sox taking on the Twins. The Twins will definitely have another strong show, but I think the Red Sox will be able to outdo them and win this game. And then for the National League, Giants and the Mets. they're a close one as it was in 2016 for the wild card game. But I think the Giants, with their experience in the playoffs, will just edge the Mets. And like the Giants, with them having cuts this year, I'm going to be really rooting for them. I really hope they get back to the playoffs. I know a lot of people think that they're going to be better this year, but not good enough to be back in the playoffs. Yeah, which I do respect that. I can see it happening, but I'm going to push for at least the Giants have at least a good push in the playoffs to get to the wild card. I don't have to win the World Series, but I think they're going to definitely, have a good push. But I think they'll beat the Mets. For the division series, we got the I have a bunch of close series here, especially for the American League. The Red Sox and Yankees are going to have another great series in their rivalry. I think they'll come close, but I think the Yankees will just win the series 3-2. And then I also have the Astros and Indians having another close duel as well. I think the Astros will get past the Indians because their pitching staff, both teams have great pitching staffs as well. But I think with their experience, I mean, the Indians have a good case as well. But last year they did kind of choke a little bit in the playoffs and whatnot. So, I mean, I still think either one of these teams can definitely get past. Even the Red Sox can overcome the Yankees, but I still have a better feeling the Yankees overcoming there. This one was tougher, but I picked the Astros defeating the Indians 3-2, also moving on to face the Yankees in the American League Championship Series. And then for the National League Division Series, I have the Giants and the Nationals going at it. I mean, the Nationals are probably the best team, but they never seem to do well in the playoffs. So, again, I'm still going to give the Giants one last little nudge, and I'll have them beating the Nationals 3-1 in this series because their pitching staff having the experience. And then the Dodgers and Cubs, we'll have another series as well. They've had several series in the playoffs the past couple of years, but I think the Dodgers will edge out the Cubs 3-1 also in the division series. For the championship series, I got the Astros and the Yankees. Last year, they put on a really good series. It came down to 7 games. The Astros went to the World Series in 7 games, even won the World Series in 7 games. But I still think with the addition of Giancarlo Stanton this year and their younger talent, getting blossoming, getting even better, I still think that the Yankees will beat the Astros to win the American League pennant. The Astros and Indians they're all the American League teams are definitely worthy of I feel this year of winning the American League pennant. There's going to be so many great teams this year in the American League and some in the National League also, but definitely the American League will definitely be the better league this year in my opinion. But I think the Yankees are going to beat the Astros and move on to the World Series for a National Championship Series. And it's going to come out between the Giants and the Dodgers, but I think this is where I will ease up and say, okay, obviously it's going to be by the Dodgers. The Dodgers win the series 4-1. They proved that, even though, Clayton Kershaw, hadn't had a good history in the playoffs before, he had a strong showing last year in the playoffs as well. I think the Dodgers will get back to the World Series this year. It'll be the Dodgers and the Yankees in the World Series. And I think my World Series, I mean, even though a lot of people won't be a fan of this, I'm predicting the winner of the 2018 World Series this year with their young talent blossoming, and with the addition of Giancarlo Stanton, and him and Aaron Judge combined for the power duo, and even with Gary Sanchez and Didi Gregorius and their upcoming young pitching staff that's blossoming out too, and their veterans they still have as well. I think the Yankees are going to win the World Series this year. That's my prediction. Being the Dodgers 4-2, and my World Series MVP. It is not Aaron Judge. It is not Giancarlo Stanton. But I think the third big man on this team right now with the bat is Gary Sanchez. And I think he's going to be – I can see him being an unsung hero that gets overlooked and whatnot. I think that's what I always look for whenever I predict who's going to be the MVP for the World Series. And I think Gary Sanchez can be that guy. So that's my prediction. The Yankees win the World Series and Gary Sanchez being World Series MVP. All right, guys. Well, again, I'm sorry this video came late, but that is my preseason predictions for Major League Baseball during spring training of 2018. Again, I will try to do at least one baseball video about what's going on in the season once a month. Just, just review, what happened during this month, who's starting up hot, who's been cold, the standings and whatnot. I definitely will try to do those more often. I'll definitely do these, preseason, mid-season, and regular season and postseason prediction videos as well. But I definitely, again, I just want to bring more, besides, my video game stuff, I want to bring more of my, my passion for baseball in this channel as well, grow an audience with them as well to keep this channel growing as well in here. So I definitely just want to get that passion back, and this is how I'm going to do it. So I expect another video, I'd say at the end of April, unless there's any other big, moves come here and there. that I'll make special videos for as well. So guys, thank you for tuning in. Again, what are your thoughts on the what are your predictions as well for the season for Major League Baseball? Any bold predictions as well? You know, any no-hitter, perfect games, or any big moments you're going to predict happening as well? Where do you think some of these other big free agents are still going to land that's still available? And like, you know, Jason Worth, Andre Ethier, Carlos Gonzalez, and Jake Arrieta, and a few others who are still available on the market. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure to also click my like and subscribe to our content on this channel, and follow me on Twitter at DemandAirBoy93. I'll be back up here live probably late tomorrow night, doing my live review for WWE Fastlane also. So if you're a wrestling fan, tune to that. Make sure to do that. Not to stay tuned for my more odds and ends. And guys, with that, I am checking out. So until then, guys, have a great Saturday, and also make sure you get good sleep tonight because we're going to be losing an hour. Peace out, everybody.